Okay, so today, after posting all of our entry courtyard videos, if you haven't seen those, definitely go check them out. I realized just how aged our house numbers had become. I used some scrap 3/4 inch MDF, so I knew it was not going to last forever, but they are 4 years old, so I was pretty impressed with how long they did last. But today I'm going to use some scrap plywood. They're just 2x2 sections that I've got, and make some new ones and see if we can get another 4 years out of them. So all I've done is I've removed them off the mailbox themselves. You can see they're, you know, real warped from the weather and the water, and it's MDF. But I've used these guys as a guide, so I've just kind of placed them on the plywood and traced them. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that on camera or not, but basically I've just placed the number on the board, kind of lined it up with the top and the edge to get as square as possible, and use that as a trace. I'm gonna use the jigsaw to cut them out. I did put a scrolling bit on there to hopefully cut a little smoother. I'm thinking I'm gonna use the same quarter round roundover bit on the router to kind of do the front edges, just to make it a little bit cleaner, because we are switching to a plywood this time. And then obviously I'll use the drill with this countersink bit so that the screws sit a little flusher in. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but basically where the screws were, it kind of created this like pillow effect as the wood expanded. So I'm hoping to kind of prevent that, but that's what caused the finish to kind of crackle and break. So here we go. Decided to grab my 12-inch speed square because I'm realizing the lines are kind of wonky, so I'm just going to square them up, at least on the number 4 here, to just get a cleaner cut. My blade just broke. Cool. All right, so now that they're all cut out, I worry these guys don't give me the same like beefy look that the old ones did. I think I'm gonna regret not cutting out a second set and stacking them on, but like they're significantly thinner. So I think I'm gonna cut out a second set and then glue them together. All right, on the second set, we're gonna cut just outside our pencil line where we traced the new numbers, because that's gonna allow us to use a flush trim bit on the router to make them perfect to each other. The lines themselves aren't perfect. I'm only cutting it with a jigsaw, but it'll at least allow each piece to be perfect to one another. So if there's a slight imperfection or a line's not perfectly square, they're gonna line up together. So on this one, we'll cut out just outside the pencil line, and then we'll use the flush trim router bit to get them perfect to each other. Now, you can kind of see the cuts. I'm just outside the line everywhere. It allowed me to be a little messy, but the flush trim router bit is a circle, of course. So I did go ahead and cut in the corners nice and sharp on the interior of the number 4, because obviously a circle's not gonna get in those corners. So I did go ahead and just cut those square now, and we'll do the others. All right, so because we've decided to double layer these, we are adding to our list, we're gonna need some wood glue and the finishing nailer, and then of course you'll need a flush trim bit for your router if you do it this way. Now, because these guys are gonna be permanently stuck together, I'm gonna just add some glue and some finishing nails into the piece. But if you're gonna use this technique to do kind of like a mirrored image, or you need to duplicate something like as a repeat or 2 with the same numbers, that kind of thing, you would want to just use like a double-sided tape to hold these guys together, so that way it's something easy, temporary to pull off. But again, ours are going to be permanently together, so I'm just going to glue now and then trim them up. All right, so we've got our flush trim bit on. Now, this particular one has a guide at the bottom. So as we're cutting this way, what we're gonna do is actually have the one we wanna trace on the bottom, and the new one we just cut on the top, because the cutting blade here will cut the top one, and then this little bearing guy is gonna be our guide that's gonna stop us up against the original one. So we'll just set our depths so that this lines up with our original one, and then that'll be our cutting. All right, so of course they're not, perfect lines or anything, but it's just for the mailbox. We're not complaining. But after doing the flush trim router bit, you can see that everything is at least in line with one another. So they at least match up, and we've got a lot more depth to work with now. So they feel a little bulkier. They feel a little bit more, substantial. But yeah, nice and flush. And now what we're gonna do is we'll round over the edges real quick, and then give a light sand to everything and get it painted. All right, now everything's sanded and smoothed over and soft. What we'll do is we'll get everything cleaned up, and then we will start painting. Although, I might need a rinse first. It's really freaking hot again today. Humid, really. That's what I'll do. All right, I almost forgot. Before we get cleaned up and rinsed off, we're gonna use this countersink bit. Basically, this is gonna drill a pilot hole, and then it's gonna kind of carve out a slightly larger area that the screw head will hit in. That way it sits a little bit more flush. And I'm hoping it prevents a little bit of this like pillowing effect, but we aren't using MDF, so it's not gonna expand the same. It'll probably just decay over time, but as long as I get, 4 years out of it, I think it's pretty good for only about 25, maybe $30 of material. So I'm gonna just use the old ones as kind of guides as to how to place the screws, because again, they lasted so long. So I'll just use those as kind of a template and get our holes in. Broke another bit. don't know. I don't know what's going on today. This sucks. Alright, all good. The screws we're going to use are kind of a brassy gold color anyway, so they'll blend in with the gold that we painted, and we should be good to go. Now let's finish cleanup and rinse off. Alright guys, so the mailbox tower is painted our ebony fields, like the house, the fence, all of it, and most of the gold accents are done with this Rust-Oleum metallic. It's kind of a brassy gold. I like this one because it's not the bright, shiny gold. It is more kind of a brassy or kind of an aged gold color. So this is what we use for most of our little accents. So I'm just going to use this, give them a quick coat, let it dry. We'll spray the second or the back side of it as a second coat for the front, and then we'll use some sealant to seal them and then be ready to hang. All right, so now that everything is painted and is sealed, you can kind of see it's got a little bit of a shine to it. We are going to get them hung. And because we did our pre-drills and the countersunk screws, the screws are going to kind of sit inside, but color's gold, screws gold, should be good to go. If you guys like this project or want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on other social medias at Rodney and Jake. And as always, we want to give a huge shout out to all of our members. Thank you guys for your support. We'll see you guys next time.